The Christmas trade freeze kicks into effect this Thursday at midnight. So teams that want to get something done got to get going. With that in mind, here's our insider Pierre LeBrun. And Pierre, after a somewhat disappointing couple of months to start the season, the Canucks are now just hanging on to a wild card spot in the West. We know they want to be buyers. Are we starting to get a better idea of what they're trying to buy, Pierre?
Yeah, they're making their calls, and word is getting around when you talk to sources around the league about what the Canucks are calling about, and certainly a top need has been identified, a top 4D. That's certainly the top item for the Vancouver Canucks, but also a winger, and so they're looking for both. In talking to sources around the league, and listen, the top 4D is not surprising. Obviously, the team hasn't been the same since Hronek has gone down with an injury. He's out long term. Now, he is going to be back, obviously, before the end of the regular season. But despite that, the Canucks are intent in trying to go trade for a top 4D. They feel they need the depth there. And the one thing about the Vancouver Canucks, Jim Rutherford's the president of hockey. Patrick Allvin is a GM. Jim Rutherford's tradition and desire of trying to trade way ahead of the deadline is well established. And last year, on January 31st, they got ahead of the market on Elias Lindholm and traded for him that early. And so it certainly wouldn't surprise me if the Canucks are able to go find a top 4D and or a winger, that they get this done sooner rather than later. Obviously, it has to fit cap-wise, it has to fit-wise, but the Canucks are certainly making their calls. So I think by now they understand what their team is through the ups and downs they've had this year. And I think they're ready to act here if they can get that done.
All right, you opened the door for me, so let me walk through it. For a while now, it looked like if you were shopping for a top 4D, the Blue Jackets' Ivan Provorov was going to be available to the highest bidder. The 27-year-old's in the final year of his deal before he can become an unrestricted free agent this summer. But now there's been an interesting twist to that story, Pierre.
Yeah, he might still be dealt, but there's a new twist for sure. His younger brother, Vladimir Provorov, who's only 16 years old, it was announced Monday that he is committed to Ohio State. And I spoke with Ivan Provorov, the older brother's agent, Mark Gandler, who's also the advisor for the Provorov family and for the younger brother today, Gino. And what Mark Gandler told me is that, listen, obviously, these are separate business decisions. We've got to be careful here. But that the two brothers are very close. And that part of the reason why the younger brother is committed to Ohio State is obviously they spent a lot of time in Columbus, Ohio. And the Provorov family really likes Columbus. And obviously the younger brother likes the Ohio State hockey program and where it's headed. Now, he's not obviously going to be at Ohio State for a couple more years, 2-3 years, because he's only 16. But it is an interesting twist in all this. One of the things that Mark Gandler, the agent, said to me today is that Ivan Provorov loves it in Columbus, and that they are absolutely, quote unquote, open to discussions on an extension with the Columbus Blue Jackets if that's something that the Blue Jackets would like to entertain at some point between now and March 7th. So the door is certainly open. There have not been any contract talks yet between Provorov's camp and Don Waddell, the GM of the Blue Jackets. I suspect that conversation will happen at some point in the new year, of course. Either way, you got to know, right, if you're Columbus. I think what it comes down to here is, it's fine and dandy for both sides maybe to having an open mind to continuing that relationship. What does that mean in terms of an extension? What's the number? And we know, Gino, from their time at the Board of Governors last week, the cap's going up. Where it's going up exactly remains to be seen, but it's going up. And one of the things I'm sensing as I talk to agents and front offices around the league right now is agents and front offices aren't quite on the same page yet in a lot of cases as to what that's going to look like in terms of the financial landscape. So yes, I think, I shouldn't say I think, I mean, the agent's on the record with me. Ivan Provorov's open to talking extension with the Blue Jackets. But what does that number look like? So I still think, all things being fair, I think that the Blue Jackets number for both term and AAV is obviously going to be lower than what Ivan Provorov, who plays 23 minutes a night and turns 28 next month, what his number could be on July 1st in the open market. There just aren't a lot of top 4D that end up on the July 1st market. So I don't know if they can bridge the gap. Maybe they will. And at the end of the day, if nothing else, having the younger Provorov commit to Iowa State is not nothing. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah. The Blue Jackets have a lot of work to do in the blue line right now. They currently only have 3 regular D-men signed beyond the next season. The full version of Insider Trading with Pierre and CJ is coming up later on SportsCenter.